I'm Linda. I'm 73, and I've been married to my husband George for 60 years. That's right, 6 decades. When I say that out loud, it still feels surreal. 60 years with the same person. I know it sounds like a lifetime, and in many ways it is. But I want to tell you something that most people don't realize. Those 60 years weren't perfect, not even close. And if you're thinking about your own relationships, your own marriage, there are things I wish someone had told me long ago. Things I learned the hard way. Mistakes that could have cost us everything if we hadn't recognized them. Today, I'm going to share the 5 biggest relationship mistakes I've made over 60 years of marriage and how we survived them. Mistake number 5, thinking love is enough. When George and I first got married, I thought love was all we needed. I was 21, he was 23, and we were in love so deep it felt like it would never end. I remember sitting on the steps outside my parents' house the night before the wedding, holding his hand and thinking, this is it. This is forever. Nothing else matters. But love isn't enough, not by itself. We didn't know how to communicate. We didn't know how to handle conflict. For the first 5 years of our marriage, we fought about everything, money, chores, even what to watch on TV. And sometimes I would shut down completely, thinking that if I just loved him enough, things would magically work out. There was a moment in our 3rd year when George came home after a long day at work. He was quiet, withdrawn. I was exhausted from trying to juggle my job and our apartment, and I snapped at him for leaving his coat on the chair. He sighed, walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I didn't understand it at the time, but that was the first time I realized love isn't just feelings. Love is action. Love is patience. Love is understanding. And if you don't practice it every single day, it won't survive the ordinary pressures of life. After that, we learned to talk, really talk. We learned to apologize, to explain how we felt instead of assuming the other person knew. And slowly, love became more than a feeling, it became a choice. Mistake number 4, not protecting your friendship. In the early years, I thought marriage was all about romance. Candlelit dinners, weekend trips, little notes in the lunchbox. And those things mattered, of course. But what we neglected was friendship. We stopped being friends in some ways. We stopped asking how the other person's day really was. We stopped laughing about silly things we used to laugh about. I remember one Thursday night, George and I were sitting on the couch in silence, the TV playing in the background. I asked him something about work, something small, and he gave me a one-word answer. I felt a pang of sadness. That night, I realized our friendship had slipped through the cracks. We were roommates in some ways, coexisting instead of connecting. We decided to fix it the only way we knew how, intentionally. We started small, an extra 5 minutes each night just talking about nothing. We remembered inside jokes, revisited old stories from when we first met. Even did silly things like dancing in the kitchen while dinner cooked. Over time, those small moments rebuilt our foundation. The romance returned, yes, but the friendship was what carried us through the hard years. Mistake number 3, letting pride get in the way. This one is probably the hardest to admit. George and I had our share of arguments, big ones. Sometimes I was stubborn, sometimes he was. And too often we let pride get in the way of fixing things. We would hold grudges over tiny misunderstandings because admitting we were wrong felt like losing. I remember a fight about finances. It sounds small now, but at the time it felt huge. I had spent too much on a furniture set we didn't need, and George was furious. I was furious too. We didn't speak for 3 days. 3 days of silence in our little apartment, sitting in different rooms, feeling the tension stretch across the walls. Looking back, I see how ridiculous it was. Pride wasn't protecting us, it was sabotaging us. Over the years, we learned to swallow it, to say I was wrong, even when it stung, to listen even when we were sure we were right. And the truth is that humility saved our marriage. It let us move past the fights without leaving scars that lasted. Mistake number 2, failing to grow together. Life changes and people change. I was 21 when I married George, and I was completely different at 41, at 51, at 61, and George changed too. The mistake we almost made was thinking we could stay the same person while the world moved around us. When George's mother passed away, he withdrew for months. I didn't understand grief in the way he did. I was impatient, frustrated, feeling left out of his world, and for a while I felt like we were growing apart. Then I realized something crucial. Marriage isn't just about staying together physically. It's about growing together emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even physically. We started doing things together we had never tried before: classes, volunteering, weekend hikes, even simple walks after dinner. I learned to listen without judgment. He learned to share without shutting down. We discovered each other again at every stage of life, and that discovery kept us from drifting apart. Mistake number 1, taking each other for granted. And here's the biggest one, the one that almost broke us more than anything else. Taking each other for granted. It sneaks up quietly, almost invisibly, like a slow leak in a tire you don't notice until you're stranded on the side of the road. For years, George and I fell into routines, and the routines became invisible. At some point, he would make dinner, and I'd barely notice beyond a polite thanks. I'd pack his lunch for work every morning, and he'd assume it was automatic. We started expecting love instead of appreciating it, and that expectation slowly hollowed out the little joys we once had. I remember our 40th anniversary vividly. Emily, our daughter, had moved back to town for a job, and we were all sitting in the living room flipping through old photo albums. The smell of the living room was faintly like the old furniture polish George liked, mixed with the scent of Emily's favourite candle. And for the first time in years, I really looked at George, not just at the person I'd shared a house with for decades, but at him. I noticed the strength in his hands that had carried so many groceries, the laugh lines around his eyes from years of jokes I sometimes didn't hear, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled at something silly Emily said. And I realized how much I had stopped noticing him, how much I had taken him for granted without even realizing it. After that night, we made a pact. Every day we would notice something, one small thing, even tiny, a cup of coffee made exactly the way the other liked it, a text in the middle of the day that said, "I see you," "I love you," or a hand on the shoulder at night while watching TV. Those little acknowledgements became the glue that held us together through the next 20 years, through sickness, through loss, through the quiet stretches of life that come with growing older. I learned something vital in those years. Love is not automatic. It's not a given. It's a practice, daily and quiet. And noticing the person beside you, the one who's been there through decades, that's what keeps a marriage alive. It's the small, conscious acts of care that matter more than grand gestures ever could. Top of form, bottom of form. Looking back, I can honestly say these mistakes didn't ruin us. They taught us. They forced us to see each other fully, to choose each other every single day, and to never assume that love is static. Love is alive when you nurture it. Love thrives when you fight for it quietly, patiently, intentionally. So if you're watching this and you're in a long-term relationship or even just starting one, here's what I want you to know. It's never too late to notice. to apologize, to laugh together again, to grow together, to cherish the person you chose every single day. Because the quiet moments, the everyday decisions, the small gestures, those are what make a marriage last, what make it meaningful, what make it real. George and I aren't perfect. We still have disagreements. We still get frustrated. But I can say with certainty that after 60 years, I would marry him again in a heartbeat. Not because the marriage was easy, but because we learned how to stay present, how to keep choosing each other, how to never take the other for granted. That's what makes the difference. If this story resonated with you, I want you to do something simple. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this channel is full of real stories like mine, stories that are ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. Stories that remind us that life and love are messy, beautiful, and worth every bit of effort. And if you've learned something from your own relationships, or if you're in the middle of figuring things out, leave a comment. Tell me your story. Because these conversations matter, your experience matters, and sharing it might just help someone else see the truth they've been overlooking. So remember, don't wait for the catastrophe to realize what's important. Don't wait for the mistakes to pile up. Notice, care, apologize, grow, and never take the person you love for granted. 60 years taught me that, and it's a lesson I'll carry for the rest of my life.